Welcome to How Do I Create a Tuition Assistance Policy? During today's session, you will learn how to develop policies that help families and comply with the Childcare Relief Fund 2022 requirements. During our conversation, we will talk through the different types of assistance that you can offer, how to create your tuition assistance policies, and we will provide some example policies that you can follow. Please keep in mind that the information that's contained during this session has been prepared by Civitas Strategies Early Start, and it's not intended to constitute legal, tax, or financial advice. The information provided today are examples and suggestions to help get you on your way to crafting your own tuition assistance policy that you will decide on and implement within your program. Childcare is absolutely critical to Texas's economy. As childcare businesses know all too well, balancing the line between how much income you can take in and how much tuition your families can pay is tricky. Often, the operational costs of providing high-quality childcare services are out of reach for many families. This can prevent families from enrolling in your program, hurting both those families and their economic security, as well as your business and its success. Also, studies have shown that having economic diversity of children within a classroom can help spur development for all children. Accordingly, there is a great incentive for all involved to ensure that any family can afford and access the important services your program offers. The Child Care Relief Fund 2022 includes a federal requirement that providers will provide relief from co-payments and tuition payments for the families enrolled in the provider's program to the extent possible, and prioritize such relief for families struggling to make either type of payment. If a provider is in the financial position with their Child Care Relief Fund 2022 grant funds to provide this relief, they should prioritize assisting those families making under 85% of the state median income for a family of the same size. To learn more about what income levels qualify to be at the 85% of the state median income, you can review the linked guide or the linked tool that is within the written guide for the tuition assistance policy that will take you to the TWC website, which displays income limits for workforce boards. So you may be wondering, how do you create a policy which will conform with the requirements of the CCRF 2022, help families in your community, and be realistic for your business and for your staff to implement? This conversation today will take you through common types of assistance options and how you can document and execute them. So let's go over the types of assistance. There's 3 types of financial assistance that are typically offered to families. That is a sliding scale fee, scholarships, and discounts for economic need or multiple children enrolled in care, also known as a sibling discount. So let's go one by one. A sliding scale fee model adjusts your tuition rates for families based on economic need usually as defined by a parent's gross income. Gross income is all of a family's income as opposed to their adjusted gross income or any other measure. It is fairly easy to figure out a family's gross income because you can determine it by collecting their pay stubs. With a sliding scale fee, you might set one tuition level for families under a certain income level, such as the 85% of state median income, or it may be more complicated, like having multiple tiers and various rates adjusted for the number of children in the household, levels of income, or other factors. Scholarships can be offered to help families cover your tuition or co-payments. Scholarships can be determined by financial need or can be based on temporary or ongoing hardships a family may be facing that may not be as easy to measure financially, such as COVID-19. For example, a family might experience an influx of medical bills that creates additional hardship and stress on them for a period. In this example, even though they might be receiving the same wages, their costs have gone up as they face large medical expenses. So having a scholarship policy could help offset some of those costs and relieve temporarily for families that are going through those hardships. Tuition discount programs, including for siblings or economic need, are often a very simple option to reduce tuition or co-payments for families that's enrolled in your program. For example, if you serve a family whose earnings fall below the 85% of state median income, you could offer them 25% of their copay and assistance. You could also offer a reduction for additional siblings' tuition, such as 5 to 10% off, thereby encouraging the family to place all their children at your program and also helping the family to relieve some of the economic stress of having multiple children enrolled in childcare. So let's go into the basics on communicating your policy. First, whichever policy you decide to offer should be written communicated to all families and accessible for them to read and review at any time. We recommend that the policy is publicly displayed on your website, your parent handbook, or posted next to other program announcements in your program and or other places where the larger community can access it and see your commitment to helping all families attend regardless of their financial situation. Next, you want to begin to craft your policy, and you may have the question on how do I create the policy? So in your tuition assistance or scholarship policy, you want to be sure that you are covering specifically what are you offering. You're stating who can benefit from this policy, how much money a family can potentially receive, how can a family apply for the scholarship or assistance, and what is the appeal process if a family is denied assistance or think they should receive it, even if they might not be eligible under your policy. And these bullet points are here because it's important to have clear decision points so that both staff and families understand when they will and won't qualify for a scholarship or other financial assistance. For example, for a sibling discount, you can state the number of children you will need to serve in a family before the discount begins. When offering an economic need discount, you should state exactly how much income a family would need to have for the discount to kick in. Many families might not know what the state median income is and if they qualify based on their family size and income level. Specific information on the Texas state median income is available on the twc.texas.gov website with information listed by various family sizes and various percentages of state median income. This is important information to share if you're using that measure as a part of your financial assistance policy. Your policy could include a requirement that families be in full-time care to be eligible for discounts. There's no reason not to offer the financial assistance to families enrolling a child part-time, but some businesses want to support full-time families first. You may want to have an application and a structured review process. You could collect documents such as pay stubs to verify a financial need. However, when you receive documents containing personal information, especially personal financial information, you will need to guard them very carefully so that they do not become a liability for you if there is a data leak. You can also require that the parents show verification that they are working in order to receive tuition assistance. Again, this isn't necessary, but some childcare businesses prefer to see that the family's needs childcare to continue to participate in the Texas economy. You don't just have to choose one of these options and be done. For example, you could simultaneously offer a sliding scale tuition policy, scholarships for copay, and a discount for the number of children from one family enrolled in care. All three of these policies can exist in the same family handbook so that you can continue to support different types of families. So when rolling out your new policy, you want to be sure that you create an announcement. And announcement text is available as an example in the written guide for this topic on tuition assistance located at childcare.texas.gov. This sample announcement just describes your policy, what the requirements are, and is posted someplace that is conspicuous like your website, the parent handbook, and or your bulletin area where you post announcements where it's easily accessible to families and staff. So now we're going to talk through some example policies, and we're going to use the fictitious site, which is Happy Apple Childcare. And Stacy is the owner, and Stacy wants to allocate some of her 2022 childcare relief funds to implement some financial assistance policies. Stacy has worked with a free business coach available through the Texas Workforce Commission to put several ideas on paper about how to frame possible policies and a review and or appeal process. After Stacy thinks about the challenges the families she serves are facing and what she can afford to offer, Stacy will select a few of these upcoming policies and one review/appeal process to implement at her childcare center. You can feel free to use some of Stacy's policy wording that you'll see to put together your own financial assistance announcement. So, example 1, this is offering a discount for more than one child enrolled. Your sample language would say, Happy Apple Childcare will offer a 5% discount to families with more than one child enrolled. This applies to full-time enrollment only. Each additional child after the first enrolled in the program will be eligible for the 5% discount. To apply for the discount, speak to the director or email her. So again, this policy hits on those bullet points that we talked about. What are you offering? Who can benefit from the policy? How much funding a family can potentially receive? How can they apply? Our second example is a variable rate scholarship for tuition or co-pays. The team at Happy Apple Childcare recognizes that some families may have ongoing or temporary financial need. If this might apply to your family, you can apply for full or part year scholarships to cover a part of your copay or tuition. Full year scholarships will be based on documented family need, and a percentage discount of between 25 to 50% will be determined by the director on a case-to-case basis. The director will reevaluate the scholarship if the family enrolls for another year. And similar with partial year scholarships. Those will be awarded for a set percentage of between 25 to 50% and a given amount of time based on temporary financial need of families or for new families who may face additional costs as they start with us. To apply for the partial year scholarship, you'll contact the director at her email address. So as you'll see here with this variable rate scholarship for tuitions or copay, you're still saying exactly what it is you're offering, and that is a scholarship to offset either tuition or co-payments. Who can benefit from the policy? You've documented who it is that can benefit, and that's families that are facing temporary financial need or new families that may face additional costs as they start up with childcare. How much funding can a family potentially receive? So here you've documented between 25 to 50%, which will be determined by the director on a case-by-case basis. How can the family apply? By contacting the director. Example policy 3 would be a sliding scale fee. Happy Apple Childcare is committed to ensuring that every family can attend our center regardless of their financial situation. We set our tuition fees lower for families who demonstrate financial need, and followed by the below bullets and criteria. If your family's current gross income is within 175% of the current federal poverty level for a family of your size, your tuition rate will be $75 a week. If your gross income is from 176% up to 200% of the poverty level, for your family size, your rate will be $150 per week. And you can check this chart, which displays the various income guidelines based on family sizes to see if you might be eligible. So this is just showing that families who are in financial, or that the sliding scale fee is based on family's income. So if your income is lower, you're paying a lower tuition rate than a family whose income would be higher. To apply, you would need to contact the director and share your current gross income. These tuition rates need to be reviewed and renewed every 12 months, and you'll be requested to show proof of income. If Happy Apple increases rates for other families, there might be an increase in the rates that you're required to pay. Families that meet eligibility for other scholarships, such as state subsidy, will be requested to utilize that form of support first. If your income changes during the year and affects your eligibility, you will be asked to share this information as soon as possible with the director so they can adjust your tuition accordingly. So as you see, this is rather detailed, but it includes all of that pertinent information that you want to make sure is there. So you're talking about the benefit that you're offering. You're talking about those families that can benefit from this policy, which is all families based on income levels, and how much funding a family can potentially receive in terms of what is that set tuition rate based on their income level and how they can apply. And also additional criteria around eligibility and reevaluation. So these are great examples here. Example policy 4. This is also a sliding fee scale, but one that is based on a single financial decision point, and we will get into what that is. So Happy Apple Childcare is committed to ensuring that every family can attend our center regardless of their financial situation. Families interested in applying for a lower tuition rate can send the director an email with just the first page of their 1040 federal tax return for the last tax year to verify gross income. Any families with a gross income of $50,000 or less will be eligible for a scholarship. Requests will be reviewed by the director, and you will receive a decision in writing by letter or email. If you're approved for a scholarship, it will be available for 12 months from the approval date. After that time, you'll need to reapply to be reapproved for the scholarship. If you have a sudden and dramatic change in your financial situation, for example, due to a layoff, contact the director immediately to determine if there are scholarship funds that could be issued temporarily. So in this case, rather than using the federal poverty guidelines and setting sliding fees based off of those, you can set your own single financial decision points in terms of that dollar amount. In this example, it's a flat $50,000 and eligible for a scholarship, and it doesn't necessarily say what that percentage of the scholarship is, which is fine because it's discretionary, and that's when you will decide as a program, as a business owner, what that scholarship looks like. Example 5 is a sliding fee based on income. So similar, Happy Apple Childcare, we're committed to ensuring that every family can attend our center regardless. To help families, we are offering a sliding scale fee structure based on your gross income. At the time of application, each parent in the household must demonstrate the need for full-time care, usually in the form of a 30 or more hour work week, or a full-time student schedule, or both. If families make less than $30,000 in a year in their gross income, then they're eligible for a 25% discount on all fees. And then those making the next level of income, higher level of income a year, are eligible for a 10% discount. Those that are making the next level, higher income level, are eligible for a 5% discount. The discount amount will be reviewed annually, and additional information must be provided as needed. And then if there's an immediate change in the family's financial situation after you're enrolled, either requiring additional support or if you no longer need support, you should contact the director as soon as possible. So this is a sliding scale fee based on gross income, and this is similar to the one where you are using the federal poverty guidelines, but you've set your own kind of income levels and corresponding discounts. As the income increases, the discount offered decreases, along with that process on how to apply and requirements that you've put in place for a family to be eligible for that. And our last example policy is a per child flat rate discount. So this is one of the discounts, such as a sibling discount. Happy Apple Childcare is committed to ensuring that every family can attend our center regardless of their financial situation. Accordingly, we offer discounts to families with multiple dependent children in their household attending our center. Each additional sibling will receive a $50 weekly discount. For example, a family with 2 children to enroll at our center will receive a $50 per week discount for the second child. A family with 4 dependent children in their household will receive $50 off 3 children's weekly bills. We hope this helps alleviate some of the financial stress for families enrolling multiple children in childcare. So you can set what those discounts look like per child. That discount can be reduced for extra children, perhaps $50 for the second child, and then a discount of $50 for the second, and an additional discount of $50 or less for the third child. So it's really up to you. The key is just having those requirements in writing so that families understand, how much funding they can potentially receive, how they apply for it, and clearly understand if this is something that they're eligible for. So you may have noticed that we did not talk through the appeal processes. We wanted to leave those separate, but you want to make sure that the appeal process is also included in your policies. So this is an example of an appeal process for a center with an individual owner. And it will read, if you have any questions about the determination of your eligibility for the scholarship, you may contact the center owner at their email address with any questions and request a review of your case, and all reviews are final. If you are a nonprofit organization, your appeal process may look just a bit different in terms of who they're contacting. In this case, they will contact the director, chair of your board of directors to request a review of their case, and all reviews are final. And this is an example of a policy without a review. All decisions by the director or the owner are final, and there is no appeal for scholarships. Families may reapply after 12 months or if their financial circumstances change. So you are at will to also have no review process, but you want to document that so that families are aware. While there is no review, there is still a process for families to reapply or resubmit if their financial circumstances change, which is fair. If you desire individualized help and assistance in creating a tuition assistance policy for your business, please request the help of a free business coach made available through the Texas Workforce Commission. You can do that by going to childcare.texas.gov and clicking on Request a Business Coach. You can also view the written guide on this topic, plus other childcare business topics and other recordings that are made available. And all of these resources are available in English and in Spanish. Thank you.